Hello there, this is James from the Thalasian Pass, and today we'll talk about age. Yes, the obvious age of World of Warcraft. The game has been expanded 9 times already. However, age keeps being an undeniable obstacle that Blizzard has tried to address little by little. But this is the time of the expansion that we know Blizzard is making the next one. We know that Blizzard must be working on the next expansion right now. They are taking what worked from this expansion onto the next one, and we know Dragonflight has pretty much delivered on multiple fronts. Yeah, there are still issues, of course, but their reaction to feedback has also been quite fast in comparison. Pretty much now, it's also the time for us to voice some of those things that we want Blizzard to carry to the next expansion. But no player housing. We know we won't be here just yet. Azeroth needs an update, desperately. Much more than an expansion or another zone. So, today I bring you 10 things WoW needs for 11.0, or even 12.0. Blizzard is surely planning on showing us what's on the east side of Eastern Kingdoms or west of Calendar. Plenty of clues are showing up. What you looking at, curious Drake? But for many expansions now, all we've wished for is to see the old world back to life again. It's been more than 10 years since Cataclysm first came out and revamped the old world, with new quests, storylines, characters, and textures to see Azeroth from our flying mounts. But these are terribly frozen on time. We wish to see them and be used back in their former glory. We wish to regain that feeling of playing in a world-sized game, and not just in a located new continent-sized island every expansion. Azeroth needs to live again. We need to travel through it, and we need to see it evolve past the Cataclysm era. Legion made a great approach with some quests and contents that made you wonder, but even if you do it now, the world pales in comparison to the newest contents. 3 look laughable if you go to Angora Crater or Swamp of Sorrows. Human and orc buildings like in Stonard and the Scarlet Monastery are in dire need of an update from the newest models we've had since World of the Draenor. Shores and ground textures sure can also benefit from the ones used in Dragonflight and Shadowlands. Some character models are too outdated too, or if you disagree, go look for the Timberwolf and Durotar on Duskwood, or find dragons on Dustwall Marsh, or centaurs on Desolace to feel sadly nostalgic. Classic WoW retains much power in our memories, but living in Azeroth remains a beautiful experience that can be relived if the world is reborn again. The challenge to revamp Azeroth once more is not small. Perhaps that's in the works already. However, one of the very first expectations we have after Dragonflight ends is that we don't want Dragonriding to go anywhere. Blizzard is already making progress on this, given that 10.1.5 brings dragon races to these continents. But, and this is a really big but, bringing Dragonriding to Azeroth will massively shrunk the world. The Dragon Isles are vast, and soaring through them is not that fast even with a Drake. Resizing the world so it feels as vast as a continent instead of another island is one problem that must be solved. You can compare this by using an Evoker and the racials to fly in the old world and see how fast it is. Rescaling the world and reducing the size of characters, mounts, and even some buildings to make maps look larger could work, but it would be not an easy task, though it offers opportunities to repurpose flight paths and portals again. If we look at the challenge that will be bringing Dragonriding to Azeroth, we must also reevaluate the state of mounts in the game. Thankfully, the cost of mount skills is now part of WoW's past, since 10.1.5. Nevertheless, this skill should also change if the whole world will change. Your first mount should already be 100% movement speed at level 20, and be usable in places where a flying mount can't, like caves or selected places inside dungeons that will benefit from resizing the world. Your flying mount skill should have 280% movement speed increase at level 30. And finally, your Dragonriding mount at level 60. Alright, so this should be an obvious one. But if Azeroth is gonna be revamped, Quel'Thalas and the isles where the Draenei landed need to be updated too. But more importantly, they need to be brought back to the Azeroth map. These map files aren't technically in Azeroth. They're actually located in a far place blocked by invisible walls in Outland, hence the loading screen. They're just as frozen in time as Outland is, and haven't seen many changes since then. Even the Cataclysm skipped them. Blood Elf and Draenei lore is actually my favorite. It is also the first WoW I ever played. Actually, it was the Burning Crusade, and it saddens me to see that it's so far behind in Blizzard's priorities. The visuals of both of these zones are stunning, and the details are rich in WoW's fantasy, especially after so much lore has gone through these zones in recent years. And on that note, please, Blizzard, give us Draenei Heritage Armor already, please. Thanks. One of the things that I used to love about all WoW was coming back to town, visiting my favorite NPC to sell stuff, seeing my class trainer, and learning spells. It felt rewarding and it made the city alive. Changing your talents everywhere and using profession tables in Dragonflight sure is quite convenient, but cities should be hubs where players return and do some business, not just a portal hub where you AFK and where your Hearthstone always is. This would be a great change as well for NPCs, which are now little more than part of a landscape that receives junk from your backs. Changes in professions can make reagents be bought from different NPCs in the cities, similar to how it worked back in WoW Classic. To be fair, Stormwind and Orgrimmar do have a lot of activity, but that's it. No one ever says, alright, let me go to the Action House in the Exodar or Thunderbluff. Reagents native to some cities will bring people around, and Sanctuary cities could still have all the portals and convenience offered by the current expansion. WoW has had a rather difficult history with world content. For a game that heralds one of the largest creating communities in the MMO genre, the world content has never been the main focus, though it's had many improvements over the years, especially since Legion. With this expansion, these changes continue to improve aspects but repeat an obvious mistake, not using the whole world. The content in WoW is always restricted to the current zone, or even the current patch zone. This has always made for an experience limited to the borders of the zone that will bore people out quickly, especially if the open world content is not engaging enough. Like what happened with Korthia and Tanan. Dragonflight still has one aspect to improve, while the expansion yet lives, which is using more of the beautiful world it designed. Towns, roads, and peoples of the Dragon Isles sit idly by while they can't help but see us just Dragonriding to the next world quest. A good balance of this was Zereth Mortis meeting world quests like Legion did. And Blizzard, please bring back those world quests when you killed one rare and you just were done with it. That was really good. Professions also had a huge overhaul in Dragonflight, one that hasn't been seen since Legion. This is an incredibly engaging system that I fear will only last during Dragonflight. This system needs to be carried out into the future, and in the same way, carry all elements to current content as well. This is gonna be controversial, but hear me out. If you want to cook a special recipe, like a dessert or a dish from another country, you need to collect the ingredients everywhere you can. Some ingredients might be hard to get, and some could get replaced for abundant ones that you have at your disposal. But the result will always be to look for the ingredients somewhere or somehow. While professions could use materials or items from all over Azeroth in current recipes, as if you were meant to find a specific ingredient for, I don't know, your typical Colombian food dish, right? It wouldn't need to be too demanding. For instance, a blacksmithing recipe that requires one alloy of copper and eternal earth. Or maybe a potion that requires one mana thistle and a golden lotus. It would ignite the prices in the auction house of some old mats and recipes. It could also make you travel through the world to get these items, which is also quite engaging. Blizzard is already experimenting with these new recipes that are coming back from old armor appearances from Vanilla Naxxramas, which made some classic WoW mats become much more valuable and even farmable. It's something that needs to happen. This is something I wish had continued since Legion gave so much momentum to class content. In their words, classes are the scope through which you perceive the game. Paraphrasing Ion Hasicostas. The return of talent trees is a huge win, and one I had desired since they were removed back in Pandaria. But class quests, challenges, like the Warlord Greenfire quest, or even campaigns need to be a thing. Especially for new players who don't know why in the World of Warcraft is a Warlock different from a mage. Or why a paladin is like a warrior priest. Embarking on a class quest was a great experience back in the classic expansions, to learn how to tame pets, learn spells, or summon creatures and even mounts. Learning spells through quests in the world was highly rewarding, and it needs to come back together with all those class hall characters we met back in Legion. This is a simple one, and one that I've loved thanks to all vanilla footage and one item sold in the Darkmoon Fair. Go there when the fair is in town and look for an NPC called Rona Greenteeth. She is located near the western shore of the island, close to where Moonfang spawns, okay? She sells an item called Inky Black Potion. When you use it, everything goes pitch black, or as dark as will ever be. It is an amazing experience to see how the impact of the night could make on the game lights, torches and lanterns. It is so much more immersive. Obviously, this wouldn't be a feature for everyone, but it would greatly improve the way you would see the game at night. And if you won't like it, you could just lower it down in the graphic settings, like we used to do back in the day to reduce weather effects, which should totally make a comeback too. It could link to a survivalism profession, where you could craft torches, make roads, or map caves with a Nifan ally. The possibilities are countless, and many people are already claiming for a revamp of the secondary professions as well. The final one might be more of a 12.0, as some of the aspects that I also mentioned before, but this is one that should be considered for sure. Now, imagine if N'Zoth won, or even if the Primalists did, or even the Lich King. Imagine an expansion where we, the heroes, lose. We've been far too long the victorious heroes of Azeroth. We've been commanders, generals, heroes, and champions, but never the defeated. Not lore-wise, at least. It would be an amazing concept if the expansion ends with the baddie winning and wrecking the world, and setting up a challenge for us to start from the bottom and all the way up in the next one, together with Warcraft's top characters, and restore and maybe even spawn a possible third faction. We could rebuild our renown and lives, perhaps even building a house somewhere in Azeroth. Now, as a bonus one, I think everyone will want Evokers and Dragfire to be unlocked for other races and classes combinations. Dragfire as a race could be other classes with a few tweaks on their racial abilities and animations. Like Blizzard, come on, it would be fantastic if you even give us the models of the other draconic creatures that evolved after maybe possibly restoring the aspect's powers, and their visage can easily be one of the regular races in Azeroth. Any race could pick an evoker and they would actually be a visage form of a draconic character that can still transform into this drake-like creature with wings. Come on, it's not that difficult. These are just ideas that I had gathered for many years of casually playing WoW, though keeping track of what the community would enjoy of a game that has the potential to maximize its fantasy as it once did 9 expansions ago. But if you like any of these ideas, please share this video and talk about the possibilities now that Blizzard will listen. If you dislike any of these, please do not hesitate to leave a comment. And if you really enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and hitting the like button. This was James from the Thalassian Pass, Al Diel Shala, and Shore Lara.